Hey, welcome back, Delvers, to the Vaults Remastered. Today's episode, we're talking about downtime. It's time for downtime, right? But you got a problem. Your world's on fire. So, how the heck are you having a downtime when Doom is right around the corner? Today, 6 strategies on how to balance downtime with your campaign's urgency. This idea, I got to give a shout out to a Reddit poster on Pathfinder 2E subreddit, I believe. Mono Desperado, about 3 weeks ago, posted this question, and I thought it was really intriguing, very interesting, and what a lot of the replies had to say was also useful because I'm running into something similar with my own game, right? I use downtime a lot. I have it in there probably every third session or something like that, and when I run it, it runs for a whole session, which for me is 3 4 hours. So, but I don't have the issue that he's concerned with here. So I kind of wanted to flesh that out with this video. So here's what this person's saying. Hey, how do you run downtime without impacting your campaign urgency? Current situation, they're just wrapping up our second 3.5 year campaign from 1 to 20 in 5th edition D&D. Similar to what I was doing before I got into my Pathfinder conversion journey here, about 6 months ago for me. And they say they're going to be moving over to Pathfinder in the coming month. Congratulations. They've been researching Pathfinder 2E for the past year and building the new campaign. And they're currently playing a Summoner, which is a Pathfinder class in Abomination Vaults, which is I think I don't know if it's a full adventure path, but anyway, Pathfinder game. They're level 9. They have an understanding of the system. Their concern is this: as far as they understand the way the game is supposed to work, that downtime needs to be in there, and it takes about 2 to 7 days each time you do it. Out of game, 2 to 7 days, of course, or in game, 2 to 7 days. And it's fairly important to the system. And in their Abomination Vaults game, they give some details here. They say that the party's frequently going back to town, and they're crafting, they're shopping, etc. But they feel that this is antithetical to a campaign where there's a high stakes, like, death is around the corner type of thing, end of the world stuff. How can one justify going to spend a week making magical ammo, reading books in a library, etc.? And one of the players, and they point this out specifically, even has their character working for several days teaching despite there's this ever present looming threat near the town. So this seems crazy to them, from if I'm reading between the lines correctly here. And then they go on to say that both of their long term 5th edition games have background tension, which builds more and more as the campaign goes on. And they like campaigns like this. And I assume they want to make a Pathfinder game that's just like that. But they're looking at the rules that say, oh, you're supposed to do downtime, and it's making them concerned, of course. Okay, so then they go, well, how do you build downtime into the campaign in Pathfinder without your characters feeling like the world is burning in the background and they're doing nothing to stop it? Is the answer you remove the urgency? Doesn't seem right. Do you just make it so the urgency is only localized, over there somewhere and resolved every few sessions or levels? Maybe. Or is there another way? Yes. I would love to know how you balance these things in your game. So I'm going to share, some strategies, some ways that I'm considering this, that I want to do this. And again, other Redditors have replied to this. So if you want to go and see the original post, you can go check it out yourself. It's in the Pathfinder 2E subreddit, I believe. And there was, a dozen or so people smarter than me probably who had a lot of thoughts on it. And I've tried to incorporate some of the things they were thinking and my thinking in this video. So let's get down to business. So, hey, what is downtime? Let's start there before we try to come up with a strategy on how to make it work. So if you look in the player core, here's what it's going to tell you. Downtime mode. It's played day to day rather than minute to minute, scene by scene. Usually the mode of play occurs when you're in the safety of a settlement, town or a village. You're recovering from your adventures, you're studying an artifact, something like that, right? Some sort of, more mundane things. And then it goes on to say that downtime gives you a chance to rest up fully, engage in crafting, professional endeavors, learn new spells, retrain feats, just have fun. You can sell items during the adventures, acquire during your adventures, buy stuff, perform other activities, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. And then there's a list of some things over here: earning income, long term resting, retraining, shopping, crafting, other activities. So I can see if you're playing in a game where, OMG, the world's about to end, downtime makes no sense. And in that particular circumstance, it probably doesn't, so you don't need to use it. But I'm going to strategize with you and talk about ways that even if doom and gloom is right around the corner, can you still make use of downtime? Because it is one of the three main, pillars of Pathfinder as far as, game mode. You got your encounter mode with fighting and that kind of stuff. You got your exploration mode, not necessarily traveling, but it could be traveling. It could be just searching a room for a prolonged period of time. And then you've got downtime, which is now your long term, full day, full week, a whole month, whatever, out of all that sort of combat, high stakes stuff. All right, so that's what the player core is saying about it. And I'm sure a lot of people, especially players or just GMs, that's all they've looked at, the player core, or maybe archives and ethics or whatever. But there is another book out there, the GM course. So the GMs out there probably want to take a look at this one if you haven't. There's a section in the book about running downtime mode, and this is where some of my ideas also come from because they give you a lot of pointers on how to run downtime mode based upon the situation. So here's what it says in the GM core. Running downtime, there's more to life than fighting monsters, looting treasure. Hey, what happens when PCs win a deed to a tavern in a game of cards? Let's say they craft a magical item that they need, they want to build a home, they want to pursue relationships. So a lot of these personal things that the characters might be interested in, which I've made a whole series of videos about how to increase the engagement of your players by tapping into this very concept here of what do your players want. And so I'm going to rely upon some of the information I communicated in that set of 10 videos. And by the way, if you haven't seen those 10, you need to subscribe to the channel. You need to go check out those playlists. So go ahead and click down there, you like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. But anyway, you can incorporate those seemingly maybe stupid things in your opinion, like why are you building a house? The dragon's coming. But there are ways to capture what they want to do and use it in your actual story. So we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But downtime's the space between your adventures, right? Your PC's taking a step back before the next chapter. They're summing up, or in downtime, you can use it to sum up important events of the whole day. You don't need to do 50 rolls. You can just do this with a single roll. So your player tells you what they want to do during downtime. You can say, all right, sounds like you're mostly doing some research or whatever. Why don't you give me a recall knowledge check using your occultism skill or something like that, and you can then narrate what they would have found out, right? You don't need to spend every page they need to make another roll. And so you can use this mode when characters return home or otherwise they're not adventuring, which, sort of a normal thing that the characters don't have to be session after session just constantly battling, killing things. Usually downtime is a few minutes at the start of a session. I hesitate on that one just because I don't agree with that. I mean, yeah, you can run it that way, and maybe this is what that Reddit poster, could be doing. Hey, just spend a few minutes. All right, downtime. You wanted to go sell that thing. All right, give me, oh, what a diplomacy check or something like that to see if you were able to negotiate the price or something. Cool. Roll, bang. Yes, you got the thing and you got it half off. Great. Next. Okay. For me, I use it whole entire sessions, 3 or 4 hours, right? I will spend that much, but I have a purpose, I have a reason, which again will get into some of the strategies I'm going to talk about. So on rare occasions, you might have a whole session, that's me, of downtime to play out a specific story. Yes. As with exploration, you might punctuate downtime with role playing or encounters when it's natural to do so. Yes. Yes. But the stakes typically in downtime are no stakes or low stakes. I spice it up a little bit. Downtime, there should be a purpose to it, in my opinion. So downtime, however, in general, it's the counterpart to fighting, right? It's the counterpart to the adventuring and the encounter mode. It's the opposite side of the coin. Corn. Time scale. Downtime, you got to think days, hours, weeks, whatever, months, right? Long term. So as GM and planning these things, make sure that's in your head because that's going to help you design this downtime activity session so that there's something important going on and how long it's going to take. All right, and then the other part in the book is just because, and here's some of the pointers, some of the advice that the book is going to give, and again, some of my advice and my strategies are going to tie into this as well. But running your downtime just because the PCs aren't out there, killing stuff and exploring some lost ruin, doesn't mean it shouldn't advance the part of the story or that it should be boring. Okay, I think maybe that's what the Reddit poster was experiencing in their Abomination Vault story. That it was like, why is this guy spending time teaching? Like that's especially if you have nothing to do with it as your character, and this is a 30 minutes part of the session, and somebody's doing teaching. Like boring, right? So yeah, I agree. Shouldn't do that, right? But here's some tips. Demonstrate changes to the setting that result from the PC's previous achievements. All right, that's something you can do with your downtime, giving them time to breathe, appreciate what they've accomplished. So the spoils of war type of thing. Emphasize the PC's planning and the fruit it bears. So, hey, they had done some research or had asked some NPC to go look into something, spy on something while they were out, looting something, whatever. When they get back, it's, oh, here's the information that you wanted, or your contacts give you the next clue, right? Avoid bogging the game down, even if a great deal of time passes. So even though your downtime might be a week or whatever, you don't have to have this stretch 3 4 sessions, right? And one session is 2 hours of shopping and then an hour of in the library. Yeah, I mean that can be dragging it out. So keep the number of rolls small. I agree with that again to an extent. It depends on what your downtime is designed to do. I might have a whole bunch of rolls during downtime, but that's because I've designed an encounter in my downtime. Not usually a fight, but it's, some NPC engagement, some sort of diplomacy sort of thing, right? Which gets those types of players more engaged as well. You bring back, speaking of NPCs, those compelling NPCs or plot threads that were kind of left hanging. You can bring those back in your story, especially if a whole bunch of time has passed, and what's been happening in the background while they've been gone. So what's going on? Bring them back up to speed with something, and it's just because the players can forget. Like they've had 3 sessions of exploring some dungeon, and somebody's died, and they come back. That NPC that they had been working with to craft something. It's like, hey, look, I finally finished your axe that you wanted. Here it is. Or that spy that you had hired to look into the nefarious rumors coming out of the manor house. They have a report for you. All right. This is what I do. The next bullet point: interject interesting events, scenes related to what the PCs do, so that the world is more alive. Right. So you don't just say downtime. You're doing this teaching thing. What if one of the students is missing, and the teacher's like, hey, where's my star pupil, right? You create this NPC, this kid that's missing, and the other kids could say, oh, little Johnny, he just joined the army and they left yesterday. Oh my God, the army, he's supposed to be a wizard, he doesn't know swords, but he does now because his parents' village was raised, from his home village, which is 50 leagues away or whatever. The army of darkness is on the move again, and so he felt he needed to do something about it, right? So your wizard character who's doing the teaching is doing their teaching and getting fun out of that for their personal story. But at the same time, you've also had the main story get a little injection of information that could be useful. And then the last thing here is, and this is again what I'll do a lot and what my strategies are going to talk about, is you can switch to encounter or exploration mode during downtime. Nobody says that your downtime just has to be humdrum 2 to 7 days of doing nothing but trying on dresses, shopping for a new shield, uh, you know, going and visiting the neighbors. No, right? Throw in some encounters. You get mugged in the alley. Some rival, group or faction is spying on you, and you catch sight of them. Somebody comes running down the street saying, my house is on fire. I need someone to help me. right? This can give more clues. It can give more side quests. It can drop some spice into the game, and it can expand the game world as well. Get those player characters to do more stuff. So running downtime, there's lots of things you can do. The GM core talks about, the depth of your downtime. So this is you're planning this, right? How deep is your downtime? What are the long-term goals of the PCs that they might have? How to play out a day of downtime, longer periods of downtime. They give advice about that. Creating tasks or events like a calendar that's happening so you're able to track time. They have a section here about how to buy and sell and do that sort of stuff, how to make money, like let's say crafting, long term resting, retraining, like you can retrain skills in Pathfinder. So there's lots of things that downtime can be used for that are not boring necessarily or taking too much time or are irrelevant to the story depending on your story. All right, so hey, that's what the books are saying. So my thoughts on it are these. So 6 strategies. Number 1, integrate your downtime into the plot. I've already mentioned this a couple times, right? Make the downtime activities relevant to the game's the campaign objectives. Duh. Okay, so if that teaching thing is, yeah, just teaching, well, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But again, maybe it's relevant because of the missing pupil. Maybe the teacher's grading some papers and something scrawled in the margin of a report that they're getting from one of the students is some cryptic message or something like help me, something like that. That wow, now you go from sort of this kind of boring, yeah, roll me a couple checks role play stuff to you just got a clue, right? You just got some more information about what's happening. So if the players need to craft magical ammo, like the other example, maybe there's a siege that they have to get ready for. Maybe there's a big a battle coming up that they have to be ready for. They need this ammo, so it's not just oh, the person's making some exploding arrowheads or something like that. They need it because they've had some encounters in the previous sessions where they know, hey, we need fire to damage these creatures. If they're researching library stuff, the book kind of things, they're looking for critical information. They need to take down the enemy or find its weakness because this thing is a god. How do you slay a god? Maybe there's something in the ancient library that they could encounter. Maybe there's a location they discovered for some artifact that they need, right? They need to time travel or something like that, and they have to find the time travel device. How do you do that? Downtime, right? Downtime shouldn't just be this distraction, right? It's a necessary step. It's a tool. It's a medium that you can use for the players to achieve party goals. Easy. 2, create flexible timelines for the time sensitive goals. So even though there's an ongoing threat, you have control over the calendar. When does that threat happen, right? This gives you flexibility. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. So, for instance, the enemy might be having downtime because it's gathering forces before it makes its final, march across the plains or whatever. So you've got 3 weeks. Maybe the enemy's waiting for some astronomical, cosmological event, the alignment of the planets or something like that, which is in 6 days. So we've got that time to plan and prepare ourselves, okay? So the threat doesn't need to be constant go, 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 kill, kill, kill every single session. There can be breathers. And you're creating these windows which the players can take downtime, right? You can tell them there's 6 weeks. You got time. You don't need to worry about it. Okay? You're not ignoring anything. It's built into the system. So you can still hint that there's things going on. So you don't need to just like completely drop it because that might be the other thing the poster was worried about is, well, if we get in all this downtime stuff, they're going to forget what's happening. They're going to ignore it. No, you're not ignoring it. You're not going to forget it because GM is dropping hints. They're having rumors, right? So maybe as you're shopping, you notice that all this, there's only like 1 or 2 swords left in the shop. Like, hey, what happened to all the swords? Oh, well, the lord of the manor came and commandeered them all for his knights because they just marched off to the war, or there's some rumor of a hobgoblin war band coming down out of the mountains. So the lord needed extra swords and rounded up several of the peasantry to go and serve as a militia or something like that, right? What hobgo? Oh, you mean, yeah, that's the same thing we've been worrying about with our quests over here, that there's some, you know, evil lord in the mountains that is sending foul beasts to attack. Oh, I wonder if these hobgoblins are related to that. Yes, right? So you've got ways to drop hints, drop clues, even during those sort of boring, mundane downtime activities. Third, use your downtime for character and story development. Again, hey, like, subscribe, because in my previous series to this, I had 10 videos where I went into methods of increasing player engagement in your story, and a lot of it ties into this character development, right? Your players have created characters. And many of the characters, well, they all should, they have a backstory, right? They have a reason for being adventurers and whatever else. And you have this information from your players. And if you don't, go and ask them for it, because I'm sure they'll give it to you, even if it's just a couple sentences. So the downtime allows you to set up situations where they can explore those character goals, those character and beliefs, that sort of thing, those character interactions with one another. You can develop the story more for each personal, a personal story for each of the character. You can expand your game using this method. So downtime, see it as an opportunity for character development, these personal story arcs being explored. The downtime involves those characters resolving some of their issues or some sort of obligation that they need to do. Maybe they need to go pay off a debt to somebody that was a loan shark type of thing, and now that they're back from their adventure and they got some coin that they've picked up from the dungeon, now they can go pay it. Or maybe it's a ransom, whatever. Or maybe they got to go buy their bride. I don't know. But they've got something that they're now able to go and do with the stuff they got. So downtime for them is important. And again, you can throw some clues in there, because maybe their bride was kidnapped. And who was it kidnapped by? The servants of the evil warlord from the mountains, and they need money for their evil army, and so they're using ransoms and stuff. So that could be a thing that one of your characters had to do. Hey, my sister was kidnapped. That's in their backstory. You then take that and use it and tie it to your game with the evil warlord in the mountains. Yeah, that's who kidnapped them. Bam. Right now we've got two birds with one stone. And then the downtime activities, don't forget that you can use them to launch new stuff, new links, new clues, new subplots, allies they can start to gather. They make enemies who cause trouble. They gather information that's new that comes back to that main campaign again. And then don't think that it's a waste of time, because your players are going to enjoy sort of that personal growth. And you're also able to share your lore, because you're now able to expand your game world by using some of these downtime personal story development things. And it's not going to detract from your campaign world. It's actually going to get your players more invested, because now they understand the world, they understand their characters, they understand one another better. And you can look at it this way: if they kind of fall in love with the world, they're going to want to defend it, right? They're going to want to stop the village from getting pillaged. They're going to want to save the Fey forest from being burnt to the ground, because during downtime they've met people, they've engaged with NPCs, they learn that this is the hometown of one of their allies, whatever. You can use it for those types of purposes. Fourth, incorporate local urgencies. So, hey, when you're in downtime, maybe there's something that goes down in that city, in that village, in that town. While the main campaign is still out there, it's still a threat. Maybe there's smaller threats. Maybe while they're shopping or want to sell stuff, the merchant doesn't have any coin to purchase that item that he said he was going to buy when you first went out to go and get it from the dungeon. And you come back, well, what do you mean you don't want it? You can't afford it. Well, my caravan, my merchant wagon was robbed 3 days ago by some bandits out in the woods, and they took all my coin. I don't have anything left. I'm sorry. I can't pay you for that quest that you just went on for me. I apologize. Oh, hey, what bandits? Where? Now the party can go and take care of that, get the money they're supposed to get, and maybe a little something something on top of that. And then while they're out there, they find out that these bandits were actually part of that evil warlords group that's coming down out of the mountains. We've now got them heroically responding to, the main threat, but now these other little threats on top of that. You've thrown that in there for them. And then these local issues, as I just alluded to, they're related to the main threat. They're related to what's going on in the bigger world. They're bringing cohesion to everything. So you're using your downtime purposefully. Fifth, communication, right? You tell your players, hey guys, this is the purpose of downtime in this campaign. You're going to use it to train your character. In my game, I have a 3-day training. So if you level up, it's not instantaneous. You need to be in a settlement during downtime and take 3 days working with your professional trainer, that sort of thing, researching spells, whatever, right? Learning the ropes type of thing. While that's going on, that's like a background thing. So while that's happening, the characters are also researching clues, investigating leads, whatever else they were doing from the previous sessions where they gathered some information. So I'm communicating this with the players. I'm telling them, hey, when you guys are in town, here's what you're going to be able to do. Or remember those clues you got. You can go and investigate those. You can find some people to talk to. And then at the same time, find out what they want out of downtime. So if that character is telling you, hey, my character is really into teaching and wants to teach at a wizard school, you're like, okay, I think I can work with that. Not because you want to role play 15 students in the class or whatever. No, I mean, maybe you do, but I wouldn't. But I'm now going, okay, school is important to you, teaching is important to you. Now I can use that either as a venue to give you information. Like I said, maybe there's some scrawled notes that one of your students left and then that student disappeared or whatever. Oh my gosh, what happened? He was kidnapped, whatever. Right now I can drop clues during your downtime fun, but I now have a purpose for my game. I can use your character's interests to further the story or challenge your character, right? What if the school burned down? Right? What if some debt collectors come to your school, kick the door in, and like, yo, professor, where's the money? Right? See what your player does when you do that to them. Number 6, adjust the pace. You, as GM, have the foot on the gas, right? You can throttle the pacing of the campaign. You don't need to keep it in, 95 miles an hour down the street. Not every session has to advance this main plot. You can focus a session or two here and there on character development, on world building, on preparation for these upcoming challenges, right? You can slow it down and say, all right, you guys know you've got 3 weeks until this thing happens. You got 3 weeks and you're going to be in the town of blankety blank. In my game world, there's a little settlement that the player characters are currently in, known as Gemheart, this geode looking cavern that they're in the vaults. And they are serving as guards for the refugee caravan, and they're taking on some tasks while they're in a downtime because the caravan's not leaving for a week. So I told you guys got a week, right? And then there's these other NPCs that are like, hey, can you help us with XYZ? And the players themselves have some mysterious relics they picked up, and they're trying to figure out what the hell they do. So I've slowed it down for that, but then whenever they want to go find information or pursue one of these subquests, gas goes back on and we get back into, exploration encounter mode. So adjusting the pacing allows for this natural incorporation of your downtime activities without losing the sense that there's urgency. They still know tick, 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 tick that the bad guys are on the move because it constantly is affecting them. And I'm constantly throttling the pacing between, yeah, we can slow down and you can go talk to some NPCs this session. And then next session, you're going to go pursue that lead again because, oh my gosh, in the day you spent downtime, this thing happened, or somebody, cliffhanger ending to downtime is always a fun way to do it. Some thugs come out of the alley like, we'll take those magical relics now. We've been watching you. All right, those are my 6 strategies. So let's kind of get to the end of this. Conclusion, downtime, campaign urgency. It's a balancing act between these two things, right? You're crafting a story that's going to resonate with both that epic, campaign doom and gloom and the personal stuff that your characters are interested in. So downtime can be used for both of those things. Recognize the heart of the adventure is not just in the battles, right? In the searching of the dungeon and that sort of thing, but also in those those moments between, because excuse me, your characters can grow, right? They can interact, they can enjoy, they can plan their next adventure, they can connect with the world that they are just saved, that they just freed these people from, whatever. Now you're giving them that thrill of the victory, right? The ability to enjoy the spoils of war. Another bullet here is that don't just maintain tension the whole time and the drive, right? Your downtimes can deepen these things, right? It's not just, oh yeah, we slayed some more creatures and got some more loot. When they're back during downtime, they can see these effects, like we were just saying. They also have a chance to pursue these goals. They can meet more people that they just saved or whatever, or they're now able to buy things or afford stuff or build their own tavern or whatever. This is going to expand everything, deepen their involvement in the game world. So then you can take your evil GM clutches and twist that and use it against them. Oh, you just built a new tavern and a new inn, and now you're making all kinds of downtime money. Guess what? I have a rival gang faction, whatever, torches the place, or they come in and try to muscle you out, whatever. Right now, I've put a threat in your face. What are you going to do about it? And last thing I think here is that your downtime, right, as you're designing these things, you want to make sure that every aspect of this campaign, right, the height of the action, the quiet moments during downtime, all of this stuff is contributing to the epic campaign you're telling, the cohesiveness of the narrative, right? Everything is weaving together into your story. So you don't just pow 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 go go go. Back off on occasion and you can decide for yourself how much downtime you need. There's no you have to have this much downtime. Have an amount of downtime that makes sense to you, that makes sense to the characters and the players, right? So, but tie it all together, right? Have a purpose to your downtime, I guess is my final message. All right, hopefully this was some interesting, useful information for you. If you liked the video, you know what to do. You subscribe to the channel, you click the like, you notify, throw some comments that you think about downtime, if you're using it, not using it, how much you do it, whatever. Let me know. Let's get the convo going, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have yourselves a good day, good weekend, whatever your time frame is. Peace out.